Hey, this is MJ, and in today's tutorial, I'm going to be showing you how to make a quick and easy chunky granny stitch hat. The yarn that I'm using is Marvelous Chunky. It's a bulky weight number 5, and this yarn is from Maxim. And I'm going to be working with their new blueberry color in today's tutorial, and I will be working on the adult size hat. And you'll also need a 7mm crochet hook for this tutorial. This crochet hat is worked from the bottom up, so we start with our ribbed band, working our way to the top of the hat. So to begin, we'll make a slip knot and we'll put that on our hook. And for our adult size hat, we're going to begin with a chain of 15. Now in the second chain from our hook, we're going to work a single crochet and a single crochet into each chain. So once you work all the way across the chain, you should have a total of 14 stitches for this size. Then we'll chain one and turn, and we'll be working now single crochets through the back loop only. I know with this multicolored yarn, it is a little difficult to see, but if you find the 2 loops of this stitch here, you're just going through the back loop. So you're going down through the center of the stitch and working that single crochet only through these back loops. And this is how our ribbing will be crocheted. So just go through the back loop, working a single crochet. And you will do this for each subsequent row. So repeat row 2 for as many rows as you need for the size you're working on. Our granny stitch pattern is worked in a multiple of 3 stitches. So for adult size, we're going to work a total of 51 rows, which is divisible by 3. And to easily modify this, if you need a bigger hat or a smaller hat, just make sure that you work your band out in multiples of 3. So once you've worked your 51 rows in single crochet in the back loop only, you can easily count your ridges that you see here by 2s, because a ridge is equal to 2 rows. So you should have your first row or your last row here is going to look more flat. So our even rows are all these ridges, and then this would be row 51. Now what we're going to do is slip stitch the band together. So you're going to fold it over so that you have a nice circular shape to go over your head. And this is where you can also test this to make sure that it's going to fit. I have noticed that between some of the colors, some yarns do work up a little bit thicker than others. I found the red to be a little bit heavier than the purple, and sometimes you can tell that just by looking at the strands, but I did find the purple wasn't working up quite as big as the red. So make sure that it's going to fit around your head before you proceed, especially if you're working on this for yourself. You can always check it out. If you're making one of the smaller sizes, you can always test that on a child before moving forward. Or your other option would be to give it a stretch and measure it out, and then you'll know if it's going to fit around the size head you're making it for. So I'm going to chain 1, and I'm going to slip stitch the rows together. So I'm going to go through the back loop only, And then I'm going to go over to that starting chain, push my hook through, grab the yarn, pulling it through and making a slip stitch. And you're going to do that for each stitch. So work slip stitches, go through the back loop only, and then we're just going over to that starting chain. So I've worked across a total of 14, and this is what it should look like. I'm going to chain 1, and you want to leave this to the outside because when we fold it over, it's going to cover the seam up. Now what I'm going to do is work around the edge of the rows, and I'll be working a total of 51 stitches, so that's 1 single crochet per row. I can always tell by looking at the side of my work, the rows. This row here, as you can see, it has a thicker end to it. The next row, you're only going to see this little loop. So here's a row, come to the thicker section, here's a row, and then just that opening gap, there's another row. So that helps you to make sure that you're putting your stitches in the right places as you work around. So just single crochet per row and count so that you know you are on track with your stitch count. So I finished off with 51 stitches, and now I'm going to slip stitch to join in that first single crochet. Now I'm going to chain 2. That won't be included as a stitch, and now I will work a double crochet into every stitch around. So working a double crochet all the way around, and we don't count the chain 2 as a stitch, so you should have 51 double crochet stitches worked. So I'm going to complete that around. Okay, so I've worked around a total of 51 stitches. I'm going to slip stitch just to that starting chain 2 to join. And now I'm going to turn my work. I'm going to chain 3, and the chain 3 will count as a double crochet and the first part of this cluster. So here is the chain. In this space right here between the chain and that last double crochet of the last round, we're going to work 2 double crochets. So our chain 3 plus our 2 double crochets make our first cluster. Now what we're going to do is be working between the double crochet stitches to crochet our granny clusters, which is made up of 3 double crochet. So we're going to skip 3 doubles, 1, 2, 3, and between these double crochets, we're going to work 3 doubles. So we're not going into a stitch, we're just going into the space between. There's 1, 2, and 3. Now we'll skip 3 double crochets, 1, 2, 3, and we'll do a cluster between that 3rd and 4th double crochet right in that space. So we're going to do this now all the way around, skipping 3, working our clusters in between. So I've worked my last cluster, and you should be ending with 3 double crochet. We're just going to skip right over, and we're going to slip stitch in the 3rd chain of the chain 3 to join. We'll chain 3 for our first double crochet. I've turned my work, and in this space between the clusters, we'll work 2 double crochet. Now you can easily see your spaces between your clusters as you work around now, and we'll be working 3 double crochet or a cluster in each space around. Okay, so once you get all the way around, you're going to work it the same as the last round. We're just going to slip stitch to that chain, the third chain of the chain 3 to join. Chain 3 and turn, or you can turn and chain 3. It doesn't matter. Either way is fine. And we're going to just keep turning, going back and forth in rounds until we have a total of 8, including that first round of double crochet. So we've done 1, 2, 3. We need to work a total of 8. So I'm going to go ahead and complete them, and then I'll meet you back up again. Okay, so once you have your 8 rounds done, we're going to slip stitch to join, chain 3 and turn. And we need to start doing some decreases to pull in the top of the hat. So this round, I'm going to work a cluster. So I'm working my 2 double crochets, a cluster in the next space. And then I'm going to do a decrease across the next 2 spaces. So to do the decrease, we are going to work a double crochet. Then we're going to start our double crochet. So I'm going to yarn over, go through the space, pulling up a loop, yarn over and pull through 2. So you now have 2 loops on the hook. I'm going to yarn over, I'm going to go to the next space, pulling up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. Now we have 3 loops on the hook. I'm going to yarn over, pulling through all 3, and finishing with a double crochet. So that is how we'll be doing our decrease across these 2 spaces. So now we'll work a cluster in each of the next 2, so 3 doubles, and then 3 doubles for another cluster in the next, and then I'm going to do another decrease. So let's go through that again. I'm going to yarn over, working my double crochet, and then this is where the trick comes in on this next double crochet. So yarn over, going through, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, go to the next space, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 3, and another double crochet. And I'm going to keep repeating this all the way around. So a cluster in each of the next 2, and then a decrease. Cluster in each of the next 2, then a decrease. So now I've worked my last decrease, and we're ending with 1 space. So we're going to just add another cluster into that space. And I'll just count around how many you should have. So 1, 2, here's the decreased one, so that's going to count as 3. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13. And I will slip stitch to join in that chain 3. I'm going to chain 3, turn, and work another decrease round. So this time we're going to do a cluster and then a decrease, cluster and then a decrease. So we'll start out placing our 2 double crochets in the first, so our first cluster, and now we'll decrease across the next 2 spaces. So you can see this is our decrease from our previous round. So we're going to decrease across this space and this space. So yarn over, work our double crochet, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, go to the next space, pull through 2, and yarn over, pull through 3, and another double crochet. So now our pattern around will be a cluster, just 3 double crochet, and then a decrease across the next 2. So double crochet, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, go to the next space, pull through 2, pull through 3. So I'm going to repeat this all the way around. So I've worked my last decrease and we have 1 more space again, so I will add 1 cluster in that space. And I will count these ones for you as well so that we stay on track. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And now we'll slip stitch to join, turn, chain 3. Okay, and now this time I will just do decreases across every 2 spaces. So the first one, we have already made our chain 3, which will count as our first double crochet. So now we'll yarn over, go through, pulling up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, go to the next space, pull through 2, pull through 3, and then work another double. So now the next space will be here, double crochet, pull through 2, yarn over, go to the next space, pull through 2, pull through 3. So I'm going to complete decreases going across each space around. And as I've worked around, I am finishing with 1 cluster in the last space. Okay, because it wasn't even to do another decrease, so we just finish with the 1. Now I'm going to slip stitch to join, okay, so it's looking like this, and we're going to fasten off at this point, and then we can just pull the top of the hat closed. So you want to leave a long tail because we're going to be doing some weaving. We can pull this through. And I guess I'll count as well how many we had. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 clusters. And we'll take our yarn needle. And to close the top of the hat, first I'm just going to pull that through. Then I'm going to go through the front loops only of every stitch around. So once you've worked that all the way around, you'll be able to just pull the top of the hat closed. And what I like to do is continue now weaving around the top just because we want to get the top of this hat secured so that it stays closed. So you're going to want to do some additional weaving. And then we'll go back in the opposite direction. So we can get rid of any other ends at this point. So we have this one here, and I'm just going to weave it to get it out of the way. Okay, so you just want to flip your band up, and this is what the beanie, the little hat's looking like right now. So now what we're going to do is add a pom-pom. Now you could attach a faux fur pom-pom if you like that look, or you can make a yarn pom-pom. We have lots left over on the ball, so it's a great way to use up some of the yarn. So you can see we're going to make these nice big pom-poms that look really good in the multicolor when it's all finished. Now there's different size pom-pom makers you can get. This is a nice big jumbo size, and I'm going to make this pom-pom in the jumbo. Now if you're making a baby hat, this is the toddler, this is quite big on it. You may want to go down a size for a smaller hat. And also the more you wrap the strands of yarn around the arms, the fuller it will be. So you can get your pom-pom slightly different in size just based on how much you wrap. This one I ended up wrapping a little bit more than I wrapped this one. So this one actually did come out just slightly smaller, but that's just a little tip. The more you wrap, the bigger it's going to come out. So I'm going to make this one nice and full because it is an adult size. So what you're going to do is take your yarn. You're going to make sure your pom-pom maker's put together like this. You can pull the arms out, and we're just going to wrap the yarn around the arm. Just like this, just going back and forth, and the more we wrap, the fuller the pom-pom is going to be. So I'm going to go ahead and keep wrapping, and then I'll meet you up in a minute. Okay, so you can see I've made lots of wraps. I've done it nice and full. And then what we're going to do is just cut the yarn and fold this arm in. We're going to now do the same thing with this arm. Okay, so once you have both arms filled and pressed together like this, you're going to take your scissors and you want to cut through your grooves. Let's see, you want to get a pair of scissors that's going to cut through this well. Okay, so we're going to cut all this as well as all around this side. Okay, so now it's going to look like this. What you're going to do next, take a long strand of yarn and you're going to place it through the grooves. What I like to do is take my yarn to go tie it. I'm going to go around once, twice. Okay, so it's like this, and that will help to hold that. Just be careful you don't pull it too tight that you break the yarn. And then flip it and do the same thing on the other side. Go once, go twice, and knot this. Then we can just pop open our arms. Okay, and you can see it's a nice big fluffy pom-pom. Now, if we had wrapped it a little less, you can tell this one, I wouldn't have wrapped it as many times. You get a little bit more looseness between them, but as you can see, the more you wrap, the thicker and fuller your pom-pom becomes. So you can see we've got a few that need trimmed, but overall it's going to come out really nice without much trimming at all. Okay, so now what we can do is just tie it to the top of the hat. I'm going to take my yarn needle and we'll take this and we're going to just feed it down through. And then we're doing the same thing on the other side. Kind of take a peek where you place this one. I'm going to go to this side. We're going to tie it, and I'm just going to do it in a bow because if I want to remove it for any reason, then I can. Just give it a double bow, and I usually trim my tails a little bit too, that we don't have too much inside. Okay, and then I'm going to find that seam that runs up the back. This will be the back of the hat. Turn it this way. This is the front, and I'm going to add one of my personalized tags to the front as well. My tags are from brickbubble.ca, and so I have my personalized ones here. I have a bit smaller for the baby hats, a bit larger for the larger sizes, and I also have a few other fun options as well. The mountains, a bear, there's lots of different types that you can get. So you could go check out her site if you just want some fun tags, or if you want a personalized one, she will do those for you as well. And I'm just going to use some embroidery thread to sew this on. So I'm going to take my yarn needle. Really quick and easy to make sure, again, you have the correct front. You want to sew it on nice and even. I like to start over in my corner, popping my needle up through the corner hole. Make sure you leave a tail for knotting at the end. And then you're just going to go through the next hole, pushing it through, and come back up through the next hole, and continue this all the way around. Okay, and just make sure that you are sewing it on straight. If you get through and you notice it's not sewn on correctly, you can always just pull it out and try again. Okay, so once you get all the way around, you can flip your brim here and then just take your tails, give those a knot. And I typically will just trim the knot, but you could also weave those tails in if you wanted to hide them. Just going to give that a trim. There you go. This is such a quick and easy pattern. I can make a couple of these in a night easily, so it's a great gifting option, especially if you need something last minute. I have sizes baby to large adult in the pattern. You just need to check the description box below the video for all the links. I hope you enjoyed the tutorial. If you did, please give this video a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel and tap the bell so you stay updated on all my new videos and tutorials. Thanks so much, guys. Have an awesome day.